Hello and welcome to the Record Club, brought to you by Record Store Day, National Album Day, and proudly in association with Bowers and Wilkins. My name is Jess Izzat. Thank you very much for joining us. It is the last Record Club of 2020, and we are very excited to say that our guest this evening is the disco queen herself, Sophie Ellis-Bextor, to talk all about her greatest hits album, Songs from the Kids. If you're new to the Record Club, we're going to be spending the next half an hour talking to Sophie all about a brilliant new record, and then we're going to be putting your questions to her about the album so she can answer. And also, if anyone gets their question answered, they can win a lovely pair of Wilkins PX7 over-ear noise cancelling headphones that will be randomly selected from questions saying you would like to know about the brand new record, whether it be about a certain song, maybe the artwork, a particular lyric that you've enjoyed. Drop us a question in the comments section below and we'll be asking a selection of our chat. I have the record here in my hand. If you haven't already picked up one of your own from your local record store, we thoroughly recommend you do that at once. Our chat with Sophie is over. It is the perfect Christmas gift, so make sure you get involved with that. I have loved dancing to this, but of course you can rave in the kitchen also. So let's get straight into it with this week's Record Club and say a warm hello to Sophie Ellis-Bextor.
Hey, hello.
Hi.
I'm okay, actually. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. It's the last one of the year. I'm excited to have you as our guest. I mean, I feel like lots of people can agree with me and say that you have just brought the best joy over lockdown, sweating in our kitchens or our bedrooms or wherever it is, living rooms that we've been listening from. But the Kitchen Disco Instagram, I mean, IGTV series, or whether you're watching it on YouTube or whatever it is, how was that for you? How was that on your end, like hosting this party where you can't see the other one is watching you?
Yeah, kind of surreal, I think, is the main thing. It's surreal and abstract. I mean, there's sort of a few sides to it, really. So back at the beginning of the first lockdown back in March, I actually felt pretty used to see many of my talented singer-songwriter friends performing and playing the piano beautifully or accompanying themselves on the guitar. And I was like, oh, God, I'm so rubbish. I can't do any of that stuff. And I think, I also had that thing where I just wanted to connect with people. I missed everyone. I suddenly had this urge to phone everybody I'd ever met and check they were okay, which I'm quite glad I didn't act on, really. But my husband Richard said, why didn't we do like a little club gig almost from our kitchen, and we'll broadcast it live on Instagram. And I was like, that's pretty crazy, because our youngest at the time was 14 months. We've got 5 kids, and I just thought, there's so many ways that could go wrong. And I thought, sod it, the world's already gone upside down. We might as well just have a go at that as well. And it was a lovely distraction. And once we'd actually done the disco, it felt so good and really upbeat and happy. And I loved the feedback and hearing from my friends around the world and my family that I couldn't see. So I just thought, right, we'll do it every Friday. But it's still quite surreal. People say to me, oh, I watched a disco. And it's like, on the one hand, I feel such warmth and affection for everybody that came here. And I sometimes feel like we've had real parties, Sometimes when I'm putting the playroom back to normal afterwards, I'll be thinking, nobody made that much mess considering how many people were here. But then other times I'm like, I can't get my head around the idea that anyone saw it at all. Because, it's just me singing into the back of Richard's phone and the kids everywhere. And, but it's been a welcome thing to do. It's fun.
I was going to ask, actually, I put it on, I'll be honest, on the Friday nights. So I live in a house of 8 people, and we had a similar situation where we were like, well, you know what, there's like a mass group of us. We're all into, having a bit of fun. Let's throw our own parties. And we had like a black tie ball and stuff like that. And then we ended up with karaoke. Honestly, I feel stupid saying this. Obviously, your singing is your job, but like just the technology, like even just singing, I can't believe it was into the back of a phone, like your mic and everything. It was all incredible. And just I think I heard another interview with Joe Good, who's a good friend of mine. You were chatting to her, and she was saying, oh yeah, it's only one take and stuff. Were you nervous at all, like you do when you perform, or was it just honestly a bit of fun?
It's very different to that, to be honest. I mean, it's much more madcap. I mean, if I was going to attempt singing some of those songs in front of real people on stage, I think I'd be really nervous. But the thing is, I've got my children around me. I'm just singing like, so I don't really think too much about it before I do it. And also, you know, the nerves that I get before we go live are always more about like, what if one of the kids hurts themselves? What if something goes wrong technically? What if one of the kids like tries to do something dangerous? You know, because I'm trying to keep an eye on all of them while I'm singing. But thank you for your comments about the tech side of it, because I can't take any credit for that. Richard did really. If you saw it, the very, very, very first one we did, we got the tech side quite wrong. Really, we did it all just in real sound, like literally just the microphone that comes with the phone. And when Richard at the end put the phone into a clip so that he could come and join me to do Murder, he could put it in such a way that it covered up the microphone, so it just suddenly went mute for like the last 10 minutes. But he got really into that, and I think for both of us, we welcomed having other things to think about. So for him, he fixated about the tech thing, and for me, I fixated about what I was going to wear.
I was going to say, literally, my next bit in capital letters is, where did you get your outfits from? They're just amazing. It's like glitter and sequin heaven.
Yeah, I just sort of dived headlong into my dressing up box. It's funny because some of the things I've worn have been things I wear on stage, but then I got more and more silly, I think. And I've been collecting outfits for years. I've got a bit of an obsession with things like vintage ice skating costumes and vintage majorette costumes and really stupid stuff that I honestly didn't think would ever see the light of day. But when you're dancing around at home, it just gives you more boldness, because I never felt as like self-conscious or judged about the singing or the performance, because it felt much more like I was actually just letting out some energy, if that makes sense. So I don't really think of it like, oh, this has got to be really polished. It's more just like, this is a really crazy thing to be doing. Like, you know, my children are everywhere. It's in our kitchen. Like, you can't hold it up against my day job at all. It's like, I don't even use the same half of my brain, I don't think.
I feel like you've hit some sort of like sweet spot in terms of releasing energy and a live performance kind of feel, because I've watched lots of live sessions this year, and just like getting the sort of sound kind of right so that people can listen to it and still enjoy it, and not having to be in a situation where you're in some empty venue, which you were for your music video. But yeah, I think you hit some mad sweet spot, and I think I've highlighted one of my favorite moments was Deadpool conked out on the sofa. There was just one point where he just decided it was enough.
We just start off like really high energy, and then usually about 1.5 songs in, they're just like lying on the sofa. And I mean, it's funny because so many elements I did not invent. You know, the reason why people have been really excited by hearing upbeat, positive music is because this year we've had to really, you know, de-amplify a lot of our emotions. You know, we're following guidelines, we're obeying restrictions, no one's running into the street screaming, going, oh my God, there's a pandemic, or I haven't seen my grandma in a year. You know, we're kind of just being like good citizens, you know. And I think letting out some of that energy and that, you know, those emotions through music makes a lot of sense right now. But I'm just so glad it's been there, because honestly, without that, I think I would have gone loopy way back, because the tension and stress of being suddenly shut in the house with everybody and not doing my work, and all the little things I do normally just to recalibrate my brain, them all being gone. At the beginning, I thought, I don't know how I'm going to deal with this, actually.
And when I'm looking at the artwork for this as well, just like everything from all the photos of your family and the most amount of fun, it's almost like a scrapbook that we can just like enjoy and delve into. So yeah, you guys at home, if you haven't got one, I'd highly recommend you get it. But yeah, and it's from all of you: Sonny, Kit, Ray, Jesse, Mickey, Richard, and yourself. I'm guessing this compilation is just born out of this idea. Then is it the sense of nostalgia as well that you're reaching for?
This album, I mean, it literally wouldn't have happened without what's been going on in the news this year. So at the beginning of the year, I was working on my 8th original album, which I'm still going to finish and put out, because I'm really excited about it. But I think during the discos, probably like everybody else, actually, the beginning of the whole pandemic, I thought, okay, I'll just pause my normal life, do this for a bit, and then once we're the other side of it, I'll go back to what I was doing before. And I think halfway through, I just thought, you know what, this has meant so much more to me than that. And this has been a really quite a defining period in our family's lives, really. Like, I think my kids and I will talk for many years to come about the time when we did all these kitchen discos. It's become quite a big part of their childhood already. How weird is that? So with the album, I almost felt quite emotional when I first got the vinyl, because I was like, That's exactly what it is. It's a tribute. And I ended up singing songs I haven't sung for years and doing covers and, Julie Andrews and singing songs from my second album and album tracks from my third record and all these things I just hadn't revisited for so long. But it felt really nice. And I'm doing another one on Friday. We're going to do a Christmas one. So I've been decorating downstairs, ready for everybody to come round. I mean, I hope
Yes,
people
that'd
do
be so
feel like they
good.
really are welcomed here, because we do it in complete, like, just come. I don't want to ask anything of anyone. If you're having the phone in the middle of your family and you're all dancing around, great. If I'm on in the corner while you're chopping vegetables, getting supper ready, that is fine. I'm happy to be your mad woman in the corner. I really don't mind. Whatever form it takes that works for you is fine with me too.
Who do you think has taken most naturally out of the kids to the kitchen disco?
Oh, it's 100% Jess. So Jesse is the fourth one down. He's just turned 5, and he's a party in a box. I mean, when we did the last one of the proper lockdown, so back in May, it was our 10th one. So we'd done them for 2.5 months, and I felt really quite emotional about doing that final one of that era. And there was one bit where Ray had gone off somewhere to do something. Kit had gone off somewhere. I think Mickey and Sunny were in the garden. So I was just left with Jesse, and he was just putting on hat after hat after hat. And I thought, oh my God, it's going to look like I've sort of paid him or I've bribed him. He was like, literally, like, every time I looked at him, he had a different mask on. And he does all these little dance moves. He just is like a real little, like, you wind him up and just watch. He's like his dad, basically. He just loves a party. He likes the social side. He's just there wiggling his hips and having a good time.
Amazing. Guys, remember, we're going to be asking some questions to Sophie in just a moment's time, couple of minutes time. I've got a few more to ask as well, but drop them in the comments section below. And also, if you get your question answered, remember, you would be in it with a chance of winning some of these really, really cracking headphones. They're like noise cancelling, they're over ear, they're really comfy, and everything sounds delicious. So Sophie, obviously I want to move over to something that's like a little bit close to my heart as well. We've got all of the venues across the whole of the country, which are just completely empty at the moment. We've got people, crew behind the scenes. We've got engineers, lighting techs, people who are front of house, whoever it is working at these venues. And I think you really highlighted this empty space, obviously, in the new music video, going from places like O'Meara in London Bridge to obviously the massive O2 Arena.
Yeah.
How was it for you filming that? What was it like?
It was actually quite sad, if I'm honest. I mean, I've got loads and loads of friends and colleagues who work in the live event industry. So whether they're fellow musicians or people who do lighting or tour managers or whatever, they've all, I could see them over the course of the year going from like feeling a bit, shocked to have no work in the diary, but okay, we'll get through it, to really by the end of the year feeling really quite angry, really quite frightened about the future, feeling like they'd just been made to feel invisible, really. No one was really talking to them in terms of the government about how they make the ends meet. I mean, everybody understands getting a part-time job when things are tough, but I think, when there's talk about retraining and this kind of thing, it's really quite offensive. Plus, I love the fact, I live in London. There's normally tons of things going on. The whole of the UK was so good with the arts. We've got things going on all over the place, whether it's, street stuff or people performing in bars and clubs, the whole nightlife scene, DJs, dancers. Like, there's just so much scope in the UK for all of that. And it's just all been put on hold. And, I'm not even a big person for going out at the moment. I haven't missed like going out clubbing till 4. That's fine. I don't really do that much anyway. But I love the fact normally that's all just sort of happening. I like the fact that every evening, normally at about 10:30, somewhere in Shaftesbury Avenue, a billion theatres are, sending happy people out into the street after seeing a musical. I just like the fact that life is going on. So, yeah, going around all these venues, it's funny. I sort of knew what I was trying to highlight, but I didn't really account for the fact it was going to make me feel a bit gloomy for a couple of days after. It'll come back, but like on any given night at the O2, when there's a performer on, the O2 itself employs over 1,200 people just to work there for the night. That's before you've even got into the production crew for the actual show. So it's a big deal that it's not happening.
It's the buzz and just the energy of it all, isn't it? I actually, when I was watching it, obviously the music video is incredible, and also, once again, don't mean to highlight your outfit, but it is very on point.
It's fab. Come on, that's Rosa Bloom is the lady who makes those cat suits. They are awesome. I urge everyone to get one. They're like, they turn you into a superhero.
I was going to say it is one of those which she would just transform you into
Yes,
like some sort of superhuman. But it
exactly.
must have been really hard kind of mustering up the energy to dance in sort of front of no one. Um,
Oh, not really. I've been doing it for months here, and no, you know what? I've done so many awkward gigs in my life that I can go into my head and sort of dream I'm doing whatever gig I want to be doing. It doesn't matter what I'm really doing. I can go somewhere else. The thing is, I love what I do, like singing, dancing around, singing songs I enjoy singing. That can take me out of wherever I am pretty easily, and a lot of it's a confidence trick, you know. I don't mind that aspect actually. I mean, obviously I'd rather have a crowd if it's my gig, but no, I can totally, I'll give it welly wherever I am.
Massive respect to that, definitely. Do you remember some of the first music, like smaller grassroots venues that you used
Oh
to
yeah.
play?
Oh, they're all etched in my mind. I mean, when I first started singing, I was actually 16, when I was in my first band. It was an indie band called Theaudience, and I was a massive music fan. And you know, I used to read page to page, like cover to cover, the all the music press. So all those venues I played, I'd read about them all. You know, all the venues in Camden, and every gig I did was like a really big moment. I did like gigs sort of fairly sporadically up until I was 18, and then we signed a record deal. And you know, and even then when I went on tour, like I finished school in June, and then we went on tour in July, and I was on the Enemy Brat Boss tour, and my band were the first support on of four. So quite often when we performed, people were still stapling the merch to the back wall. It was very, very early doors. But for me, I was like, this is amazing. I'm 18. My friends have all gone off to uni, and I've left home too, and I'm doing my own thing. So yeah, I remember all of that, definitely.
I'm gonna head to the questions now, but I just have to say I was doing obviously doing my research and I looked at the audience and I recognized my good friend Billy Reeves in there with you as
Ah,
well.
oh
So
yeah.
that was a
I still
very
see him
lovely
from
surprise.
time to time. Yeah, he's a good guy, and we, you know, like it was such a formative time for me actually, and I think it actually formed so much of how I think about my work now. Like I wouldn't be the sort of solo performer I am without having that band that sort of forged me really, and I still think like a band even with the, you know, the people I tour with. You know, I've even gone so far as to marry one of them. That's how seriously I take that sense of camaraderie.
And now you have the kids around you as well.
Yeah, true. Another band.
David Shaw from the Record Club is asking, he says, "Hi, I love the track Today the Sun's on Us. Can you share the inspiration behind it? Thank you so much for the kitchen discos. They really helped me lift the nation."
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, Today the Sun's on Us is it's really a sort of, I suppose, a note to myself really about sometimes when things are, when you're having actually a good, like say when you fall in love with someone or when something positive is happening in your life, and you can tend to feel a bit cynical and be a bit mistrusting of happiness because you know what it feels like when it's snatched away. So it's saying, you know, the bad things might happen. There might be, and you know, unpleasant things on the horizon, but right now life is good. So just take the good when it's there. Like don't lose the day for worrying about tomorrow. That's what that song's about.
Kaylee Rattray on Sophie's page says, which was your favorite outfit from the kitchen disco? They were all amazing.
Thank you. I think my favorite. I quite liked the wacky Halloween one, only because I was quite pleased with my makeup. I did it very quickly, but I think it turned out quite well. I quite like the mad eyebrows and the blood, sparkly blood tears. But I also really loved, I've got one that I wore that was like a fringed circus performer outfit. And I think it just suited my mood at the time. I think that was, I don't know, 3 or 4 maybe, quite early on. But I just felt like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll be a showgirl in my sitting room.
Yeah, I was going to say I love the Halloween one as well. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
funny when that arrived from eBay. I thought, well, it's cute, but I'm never going to wear it out. And then it's just funny what life takes you sometimes.
yeah, I've got a bit of a ridiculous outfit that I ordered for my birthday, and I was like, if I'm going to have it in, I'm just going to wear something like a little
Oh,
bit
what's it like?
crazy. It's pink and fluffy, and my friends, well, my cousin sent me a picture of her pink feather duster and was like, "Was this your inspiration?" And it
Is it
literally
all
looks.
feathers?
It's fluffy top and long arms, and then it's got a
Oh,
short fluffy skirt as well. And
sounds
this,
amazing.
I honestly look like a walking feather duster. So
Go for it. I'm all for that, honestly. I used to be like more shy about it, but now I'm just like, bring it on. The bigger, the bolder, the more wacky. Go for it.
honestly, I love that so much.
You should see what I'm wearing for the Christmas one. I
Oh my
think
God, I can't wait.
some people are going to love it, and other people are going to be like, that's disgusting. Here we go.
Natalia Franco on the Record Club page says, is any of the kids going to be dressed up as Santa on Christmas Kitchen Disco on Friday?
You know what? They're a law unto themselves. So, I don't tell them anything about what to wear. But I just want them to be prepared, because what I don't like is running around at the last minute. So yes, there might be a Father Christmas, but maybe not. It's hard to say. You know what kids are like. They can decide last minute. So when we did the Halloween one, Ray, my 8-year-old, was like, I'm not dressing up. But I knew really that if he didn't, he was going to be really sad afterwards. So I had to kind of be, we always start at 6:30 sharp, and it was about 6:10. And I was like, maybe I should just do your makeup just in case you decide to be a vampire. And he was like, okay. So I was quickly doing this thing, and then sure enough, come 6:30, that's what you wanted to be. So I was thinking that was a close one, but I don't know. I think there might be a couple of little elves. Actually, my kids are quite obsessed with the elves. They think it's a real job opportunity for them.
Killian Raven on Sophie's page says, any possibility for your first 4 albums to be reissued on vinyl?
Oh, I would love to do that. And actually, I've asked my manager about it before. It's the first 4 albums all came out with Universal. And when I first released my albums, you were allowed 2 formats. And the thing at the time in the early noughties was always a CD and a cassette. But I'd love to do vinyl. It's funny, when I did my first album on my own label, which was Wonderlust, my 5th record, I was really sure of myself, we have to do vinyl. And my manager, Derek, who I have a very good relationship with, by the way, we've been together, working together 15 years, but he said to me, I think it's a bit whimsical, which I think you'd find quite funny, because you probably realise people love vinyl these days. But it wasn't whimsical, it was actually just really cool.
Collector's items, that's what they are now as well, especially people treasure them. Paul Westerway says on Sophie's page, do you find our current lifestyle with COVID, it has inspired you to produce new music, a more personal approach?
No, not really, if I'm honest. I didn't the first bit of lockdown. I found my creative side felt really fairly paralyzed. Actually, I just couldn't think of anything to write about. I felt such a pressure to use this unexpected time in a productive way that I felt incapable of producing anything at all. It's only really as the years gone on that I've sort of found ways to find my way back to my own way of working. And now I've actually ended up doing quite a lot of stuff, and I have returned to my record. But no, I don't think pandemics and creativity are great bedfellows. I think I'd rather just be writing as I normally write, really. And I write quite personally anyway, especially the last few albums. I do think I want to make a really positive record next, though. I don't think we want doom and gloom for a while yet.
No, I can definitely agree on that. Glyn Whelan says, do your kids understand this is your job, or just think that mum is bonkers? Lol, love the kitchen discos. Thank you. So inspiring. See you in Manchester, May 2021.
Yay. Well, that'd be fun. Yeah. I don't know what my kids think. I definitely think that they are they're not that into what I do when I sing. If I sing around the house, I get told off within about 2 or 3 minutes, maximum. Maybe stop it. They find it all quite annoying. I hope they think it's a bit bonkers. I think the worst is probably they just don't think very much at all. I find their apathy the biggest insult. I'd almost rather they hated my music than they just were neutral. So I think a couple of them are into it, and a couple of them are just it's not for me, thanks.
One day at school, one of them's going to be like, the legend Sophie Ellis-Bextor is your mum, and they'll be like, oh, stop it, but silently they'll be really proud of it. Well, they will be.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't really talk. It's funny, until this year I never really spoke to them about my work anyway, they were just oblivious. It's only really this forced thing of working from home where they've even had to think about what I do for a living in that way. Normally I just go away, get it done, and come back again.
Will any of them be musicians themselves? Are they getting in there? Are they dipping a toe?
I don't know. There's a couple where I'd be quite surprised if they didn't end up doing something. And I think, most kids have as a rite of passage of being in a band. I'd really hope they do a bit of that. But I think the thing I've always really wanted for them really is just that they have a musical identity, songs that they listen to, bands and musicians that they love that form the soundtrack of their lives. Because I just think if you've always got that companion, it just gives you such an emotional support throughout your whole life. So I really want that for them. My eldest has got that in spades. He listens to music pretty much all the time, and it's been so good for him.
That's great. We've got one last question from Adrian Gustavo on the Record Club's page. Says, "Hi Jess and hi Sophie. Which disco songs and singers are your favourites?"
Oh, I've got a couple of surefire favorite disco songs. So my all-time favorite, I think, is Thelma Houston's "Don't Leave Me This Way," which to me sums up the spirit of disco because it starts off all sort of, soft and seductive, and then by the end, it's all bells and whistles and exciting. And you always know a good song if it kind of does the same magic spell to you every time you hear it. I also love things like Sylvester, "You Make Me Feel," and just a lot of the real classics, Candy Stanton, "Young Hearts Run Free." Um, yeah, but to be honest, you listen to so many disco songs, and then you just picture yourself, at the back of the recording studio or in the mixing room while they do like when they're doing it live. It would have just been incredible because disco's had a bit of a bad rep over the years, but actually for musicians playing it, it's one of the hardest genres because you've got to just get it locked in, but it's also got to be about feel. And I think that's what's inherent in all those songs that people love so much. It's just got that feel sort of sewn into it from the very beginning.
Yeah, I was gonna ask earlier actually, what do you think it is about disco that's so moving?
Well, do you mean particularly for this year? Because it
I
has had a
think
real
I feel like just well, obviously
generally.
musically, but I mean just kind of just in the whole vibe and yeah, this year and just disco generally because someone asked once, "Oh, do you think disco's coming back?" And I was like, "I don't think it's really gone anywhere."
Yeah, well, I think for me, the thing about disco is, I mean, historically, it was born out of a counterculture. It's associated with gay clubs in New York. So, a place where they were putting the emotions that they weren't allowed to display elsewhere. And within that, I think one of the things that disco has that is really a bit overlooked, actually, generally, is that the people singing the songs, the stories in the heart of them, were sung by people who weren't. It was quite often not whippersnappers. It was quite often, older women singing about heartache and things that have happened to them. So they've got this sort of history and experience and this sort of, it sounds genuine. It sounds like those people have really had something and lost something, or they really, want something in their life. So it's got this like quite intoxicating emotion to it, really. And I think that combined with the fact that it's usually full on bells and whistles, you'll have obviously your live band, but on top of that, there's usually harp and strings and brass and everything. I mean, it's just glorious, really. And every single melodic nuance is brought out and enhanced. I did a tour the year before. Oh no, it's last year now. Blimey, it feels like so much longer. But yeah, last year I did a tour with an orchestra, and we did it in two halves. So the first half was just me and the orchestra and a conductor, so it seemed very grown up. And then halfway through, my band came out, and then we did a disco medley and also songs like Heartbreak and Murder and Groove Jet and all these things, but with the full band on top. Sorry, with the full orchestra on top. So everything on top, like timpani, you name it. So it's like, I don't know, 25, 30 musicians all together. And honestly, it's like, it's just a powerhouse when you've got a whole orchestra playing on something. So that's what disco's got as well. It's really got
Honestly.
holding a lot of aces, you see.
Yeah, it's making me miss live music so
Oh,
much, but
no.
soon come
No.
2021. But that is all we have time for
Oh,
today. Sophie, thank you so much for joining us.
my
I hope
pleasure.
you and
Thank
the
you.
family have a wicked Christmas,
Thank you.
brilliant New Year's, and obviously we're so excited for the 18th for the kitchen disco. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you at home, everyone, for joining us as well. If you haven't got yourself a copy of Songs from the Kitchen Disco yet, obviously you need to go get one from your local record shop. I'm also excited to announce that the winner of this week's Bowers and Wilkins PX7 wireless headphones are Kaylee Rattray. Make sure to have your DMs open and we'll get involved and we'll organise a pair of these sent to you for your early Christmas present. Thanks everyone for joining us and sending your questions. This has been our final record club this side of Christmas. We'll be back next year with brand new episodes and more amazing guests. Let's meet back here on January the 13th. Have an amazing festive break and Happy New Year. I'll see you guys in 2021. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you. Wear your feathers on Friday.
Yes.